Hi, Algebra 1 class. Probably seems like I abandoned you a little bit this week since I didn't give you any of my own videos. I gave you videos from somebody else. But I'm back. Couldn't find a good video for domain or additive property of inequality, so here we go. All right, this is a fairly easy lesson. I think you'll like this one. So let's just start with the first one, example 1. We're going to deal with inequalities today. First one we're going to do is kind of easy. It's similar to what we did before, so if you didn't get it before, it's a good chance to understand it this time. So we're going to graph x is greater than 2. It's called an inequality because this is a symbol of inequality. It's greater than. Equality would be equals. If it's not equal, it's called an inequality. The only difference between this and what we did before is that they're going to give you what's called a domain. So they're going to say on the problem, D, which stands for domain, equals the real numbers. So they're going to say the real numbers. Sometimes they'll, in future books for real numbers, instead of writing all that out, they'll just do this. That stands for real numbers. What a domain means, it's all the values that x can be. So they're saying that x can be any numbers at all the real numbers. We haven't talked about imaginary numbers yet, but they're going to be all the real numbers. So we make ourselves our graph. The first one's really easy. My little line went down. Oh, a little out of control there. Whoops, I can't get it to stay straight. Silly line. Let me try it again. I'll have to do it by hand. My hand lines are better than these. Okay. I'll just draw one by hand. So you draw yourself a graph. You don't have to have a lot of numbers on it. All right, not too great. So let's just put a few numbers on. It doesn't matter where you put a 0 on the number line. So let's just go up to 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down there, and let's just put a couple negative numbers. Okay, it says x is greater than 2. It's not equal to 2, so you don't fill it in. You just put an open circle on 2 because it does not include 2. It doesn't say it's equal to it. And it says all the numbers that are greater than 2. Now see how it's pointing this direction? That's the direction you're going to color, all the ones that are greater. So you just color that guy in. Make sure you can see where you color it in. Like that, color in the arrow because it goes on and on and on forever. And that's all there is to the first example. Let's try another one. Okay, this one is graph. So we're just graphing these on a simple number line, not in a coordinate system. X is not greater than or equal to 3. And they're going to give you a domain, and they're going to get tricky on us. They're going to say the integers. Now the integers do not include fractions or decimals. They're only numbers like 1, 2, 3, negative 1, 2, 3. So instead of coloring it in like we did here, when you color it in, you're including your decimals and fractions. This time we're just going to put dots on the numbers themselves. So let's first of all take care of this inequality. We can't deal with that. So what this means, if it's not greater than 3, it's going to be less than 3. It means not greater than and not equal. So you're going to flip your sign. So it's going to be x is less than 3. And see how it crosses through the equal thing here, right here? So we're not going to have an equal down here. Okay, now that we have that simplified, the rest should be easy. So we're going to make our number line, my uphill number line, a very curvy uphill number line. And let's put some numbers on here. We'll just put 0 in the middle this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, positive 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 5. All right, x is less than 3. So we're not going to put a dot on 3 because it's less than 3. We're not even going to put an open circle on 3 and color it down here. We're not going to do that because the domain is what x can be, and it only can be integers. So the numbers less than 3 that are integers would be 2, 1, 0. You got to watch how many you put on because as many as you put on, you have to fill up. So I probably put on too many numbers. So you put dots on the integers and color in your arrow to say it's going to keep going and going and going. So you're only putting dots on your domain numbers, which in this case are just integers. If it would have said real numbers, we would have put an open circle on 3 and colored it to the left. All right, let's try another one. Hopefully you're finding these aren't too difficult. Here we go. All right, x, whoops, lost my pen here for a second. Hold on till it comes back to life. Oops, there it went. Has a mind of its own sometimes. So example 3. I'm doing all the examples just to make sure you get it. Graph. You can always stop the video and try them yourselves. Is greater than or equal to -1, and the domain is the reals. So it's a real, so it's a real number, so we do that. This one's pretty simple. We probably didn't need to do this one. So we have our -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, it's greater than or equal to -1, so we're going to fill it in because it's and equal to. The arrow is pointing to the right, so we're just going to color in to the right. And there we go. That one was really simple. And let's do the next one because it's not quite as simple. I should have skipped example 3. This one is graph. These are all going to say graph. X is less than -1. Sounds simple so far. And the domain, check this one out, is the positive integers. So it's not going to be, there's not going to be any negative, whoops, I lost my pen again. It's not going to be any negative numbers, it's only going to be positive integers, so it's going to start with 1. So 0 is neither positive or negative, so we don't color that one in. We just make our crazy line that I make, and we have our numbers, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's x is less than -1. I guess I could have put another number on here. All right, so it's not going to include -1 because it's not equal to -1 right here. It's only positive integers. Oh, so guess what? It's not going to be any of them. There's nothing to color in because there's no positive. We would color in this direction, but there's no positive numbers at less than -1. So you just put the empty set. Writing problems again. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on here with this. So we'll just put the empty set for that. All right. And let's just try one more of those. Hold on a second. All right, and then we're going to move on to a different type of problem. So here we go. Graph. X is greater than or equal to -5. Okay, here's the tricky part. The domain is, again, the positive integers. So here we go. I need to silence my phone. It's making noises. Okay, so it's greater than -5, so let's just put -5 on there. Let's put a 0 on there. 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't want to put too many because I'll have to color them in. Okay, all the numbers that are greater than -5, so it's going to be everything going this direction, but it has to be a positive integer. So we don't start filling anything in until we hit 1. So we're just filling in all the positive integers that are greater than -5. We don't fill in any of these because they're negative and they don't fit in our domain. And so this is our solution. Let me just color it in a different color here for us. So we're going to have, you'd fill in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then fill in the arrow. All right, that's the first part of the lesson. There's a second part to the lesson. It's not too bad. All right, there's a property called the additive property of inequality. We'll just go through that really quick. The additive property of inequality says that if A, B, and C are real numbers, such that A equals B, so this is called the additive property of equality, and you have A, B, and C are real numbers, and if A equals B, then you can write A plus C equals B plus C. They're going to stay equal. When you add, whatever you add to one side of the equation, you have to add to the other side, and it keeps it equal. Or you could have said C plus A, C plus A, let's just do that over here, C plus A equals C plus B. So it's basically saying if A and B are equal, you can, as long as you add the same number to both sides, it's going to stay equal. Our other property for this lesson is called the additive property of inequality, which are the same things. This one, you keep these the same, they're equal. You say if you add C to A, if A, actually it's a little bit different. Bear with me here for a second. So this one will say if A is greater than B, if you add C to both sides, it's the same things are going to stay, the inequality is going to stay the same. For some reason my pen is having trouble this lesson. It wants to be up here, not down there. It's like cut off for some reason. Hold on a second. Okay. So if you add the same number to both sides, the inequality stays the same. So let's do a couple real quick examples and we'll be done. Here we go. So this is example 6, and it'll say graph x plus 2 is less than 0, and they're going to give you the domain. And this was all real numbers, so if it's all real numbers, it's just like we did before. Now what we're going to do is we're going to solve this as though it were an inequality. So we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. And because we have the additive property of inequality, if you add the same thing to both sides, it stays the same. So you'd say x is less than -2. And then we're just going to graph x is less than -2. It's all real numbers. So let's put our -2 there, -1, 0, or I'm going backwards. -3, -4, and let's just get -1, 0. So it's less than -2. Open circle on -2. Color to the left because everything that's less than -2. And our last problem. I'm having scrolly problems today too. All right, last problem. Same idea. We're going to graph x minus 3 is greater than or equal to -5. Tricky part in this is, of course, our domain. It's the integers, which means we only put dots on the numbers and we don't color in the fractions and decimals. So because of the additive property of inequality, we can add the same thing to both sides and it doesn't change the inequality. So we'd say x is greater than or equal to -2. So we're going to make our number line. It's greater than -2. So we can just start with -2 down here. -1, 0, 1, 2. So we're just going to put, if it's greater than or equal to -2, we have the and equal part here. So we're going to do -2, -1, 0, 1. You have to put dots on all the numbers you put on, so you don't have to put on a lot of numbers. And then just color in your arrow. And that's it. Because it's integers, we put the dots on. All right, that's it for lesson 64.